The Monteleone bronze chariot dates back to the Archaic period during the second quarter of the 6th century BCE. It resembles works of virtually all media from Archaic Etruria, or the locations highlighted in green on your map. Although the artist is unknown, he is highly praised for his control of shaping and molding the bronze reliefs. Monteleone chariots were not used for fighting at all. In fact, these chariots belonged to a group of parade chariots and were only used by significant individuals on special occasions. After the owner of a Monteleone chariot has died, the chariot was then buried with its owner. This chariot in particular, on display at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, is the best preserved chariot from ancient Italy. Although much of the substructure of the original creation has not survived, it can be inferred that the bronze reliefs were mounted on a wooden substructure. The tires were made from iron, and pigskin was attached to the moving parts of the wheels to reduce friction. Adding to this, ivory from both elephants and hippos was embedded onto the surface of the bronze panels. The three major panels of the chariot depict scenes from the life of the Greek hero Achilles. The central panel shows Achilles on the right receiving a shield and a helmet from his mother Thetis on the left. This gift would have replaced the armor that Achilles had given away to his friend Patroclus, who lost his armor when killed by Hector in combat. The panel on the left shows the combat between Greek Achilles and Trojan Memnon. The panel on the right shows Achilles ascending on a chariot drawn by winged horses. The depictions on the chariot celebrate the glory of a hero. These images were well suited for a chariot used predominantly for celebratory purposes. But besides using chariots for special occasions, throughout Roman history, they were used for two other reasons: entertainment and warfare. Juvenal is a Roman poet active in the late 1st century and early 2nd century CE. He wrote a collection of satirical poems called the Satires. Panem et circenses, bread and circuses, Juvenal writes, were the only desires for the Romans. By the circus, Juvenal is referring to the place where the chariot races were held, in an ovular field. The oldest and largest circus, Circus Maximus, is located in Rome. Chariot races were immensely popular among the Romans. This practice dates back to the 6th century BCE and was originally held during religious festivals. Later, races were held on non-feast days. In Rome, chariot races were held frequently. People would support one out of 4 racing factions: red, white, blue, or green. Over time, growing loyalty for a team began to take on political undertones. The same word, factiones, was used to designate the 4 racing stables as had been applied to political factions, the populares and optimates, that had such large followings in the Republic. One of the best places to find evidence of this is in Pliny the Younger's letters. Pliny was a lawyer, author, and magistrate of ancient Rome, and his letters are a great source of insight for historians. According to Pliny, the strong allegiance to one's factiones was heavily looked down upon by the elite, who discouraged mob behavior. On another note, participation in chariot races was a way for slaves to potentially gain freedom. Most charioteers began their careers as slaves, and those who were successful soon accumulated enough money to buy their freedom. Outstanding drivers got fame. However, some were at risk to suffer from infamia, or the loss of status, because of the use of one's body to please the public. Moving away from this, the chariots used for races were lightweight and small, and were typically reinforced with wood. However, in order to be quick, they were not as heavily reinforced as the war chariot. Heavy in weight and reinforced with metal, war chariots were not widely used in early Roman warfare. However, chariots were a signal of wealth, since one had to be able to afford a horse in order to use a chariot. We get a glimpse of how chariots were used in battle through Caesar's De Bello Gallico, written from 58 to 49 BCE. Julius Caesar, the conqueror of Gaul and the greatest Roman general of all time, failed in his attempts to capture Britain. The Britons were fierce in battle, and one reason for this was their expert use of the chariot. As highlighted by the Latin passage here and the English translation here, note the diction in this excerpt. Strong words, like the ones I listed, referring to the British charioteers, connote strength and stealth. Therefore, it can be inferred that the chariots, to some extent, made the Britons unconquerable, even for the greatest conqueror of them all. Overall, chariots were very significant to life in Rome. From land battles to riveting races, chariots were one of the greatest mechanisms of the Roman world.